Hello and welcome back to another episode of CSS Battles with Evit. Today we are gonna do one of the newest targets of the newest battle, which is currently ongoing, and that is gonna be target 71 elephant. So this is a bit interesting. I think we're gonna follow a very straightforward approach. So just using pseudo elements and circles, or eventually rectangles and with bordered corners like this one, and half circles eventually for the eye, and just thick borders, and that's it. So there's a lot of elements this time around, so it's probably gonna take a bit longer than my usual videos, but I'll try to keep it as short as possible. So let's start coding, and let's start putting the background in. So body. If you've seen my previous videos, I always use the same technique. So I give it a margin 0 and a high of 100 ph, and we want to give it a display flex and justify content center and align items center, and this allows us to have all our main div centered to the screen. And then we want to give it a background color of this ochre. So in these battles, in CSS battle, we could avoid many things. For example, the margin or the high, but I'm gonna put them in because if we want to move this code into a JS video, for example, or a code pen, we don't want to have resizing issues. So like maybe the ears floating away or things like that. So I will add stuff to make sure that our element is always centered to our container, no matter where we're writing the code. So let's start with the head. I'm going to give it a class head. Oops. It's probably gonna be an ID actually. And then this head is, where am I writing? Here we go. So this head is gonna be a circle. So let's start by giving it a width of 200 pixels and a height of 200 pixels. And if it's not precise, we can change it later. And of course, a border radius of 50%. We don't go wrong here. And a background color of light green for circle, so we can see it's a bit bigger. I'd say we go down to 180, and that should be enough. Yep, perfect. We've got our circle. So let's see. Next we can do the ears. So to do the ears, I'm just gonna do a div class ear, and then ear left, and then we want to do the right ear. And there we go. So to do this right ear, I will say let's give a position relative to the parent, and then we can give it a position absolute, so we can align everything in respect to the head. So position absolute, and then let's start styling it so we can see something. We can give it width of 100 pixel and a height of 180 pixel, and then a border radius of 50%, and we give it a background so we can start seeing something, and the background is gonna be the light blue one. You can see something is there. We can move it to the left of 50 pixel. Seems a bit thick, so let's try to go down a little bit here. Maybe 80 pixel. Seems fine, but maybe a bit more on the left. Or C minus 60. And I think we're good. So we got our ear there. And now we want to move our ear right to the right. So this one we give it a left of. Let's start with which one will go down. So it's probably 150, 60. There we go, 160 pixel. Now we want to do the inner part, so the dark green one. And to do that, we're going to use the pseudo element. We can pick whatever we want, before or after. It doesn't really matter, because I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but the pseudo elements position itself inside the actual text of an element. So if we would have some text in our div, then defining before or after, it means that whatever content is in our pseudo elements will be positioned before or after the text. It doesn't mean that whatever content is in pseudo element is positioned before or after the div. So that's what I believed at the beginning, but then I watched this awesome video from Kevin Powell, which I really suggest you guys just follow him. He's a guru, he's a master, he's my idol. So he explains this very well. So I suggest you give it a go if you're interested in knowing more. Back to us, as we said, it doesn't matter. So let's get it before, and then we define an empty content and a display block. And in this, again, we want to give it a height, which is probably the same height, 180 pixel. Oh, it's my mistakes in typing. And a width of, it's gonna be less. So if the width before was 80, I would say, let's try with a 50 pixel, and then we can go up. Let's give that background as well, so we can see it. And we want the border as well, border radius 50%. And we want to go on the left a little bit, so say 20 pixels. Oh, of course, it's not moving because we wanted to position it absolute. Forgot to keep this at the beginning. So okay, we are there. So maybe it's a bit thicker. Okay, I think we're good. So now, how are we going to do this? We want on the ear to have overflow hidden, so we can hide whatever's left from the oval. And I think we are pretty good. Pretty good, but not perfect. I think maybe that is slightly too much. So we want to move our before a little bit more, so that the lighter border is has less width. So I would say let's try a left of 25. Oh no, actually less, 15. is it's actually maybe a bit more 80. Okay, I think no. Maybe it's not perfect, as in you can see there's something going on there. Can't be more than 20. Let's see, we can probably do this. If we change the width, we want it less. Let's try 55 maybe. No, that got us less. Let's try 65. Okay, I think we're getting a bit closer, as in let's try left 20. 15. So not. So no. It's still not perfect. We still want. It is still not perfect 100%. You can see top and bottom a bit more the width, but it's really minor. So I'd say we move on and eventually we can adjust it a bit later, just so that we don't lose interest in what we're doing. Okay. Let's adjust the right ear. So we want to change the pseudo. So ear and ear right and 4. And we want to give it a left of probably yes, 0. Okay. We forgot to do one main thing, which is to add a z index -1 on the actual ear. Add it right at the beginning. Z index -1, so the ears can go behind. So this left is probably a bit too much more. I want to get, let's try -10. Okay, so same problem as before, as in the border is a bit thick, but that's gonna get fixed in a minute, I guess. We could try this 75 and get a 15. This is probably less. Yeah, it's still definitely not perfect, but we can work with that later. Okay, let's move on to the eyes. We could use the head pseudo element to do the eyes. So let's try to do that. To do head before and a head after. And again, we want the avoid typing mistakes, because I saw that today me and typing are not friends. So let's just do a nice copy and paste. So we don't want a content, and so empty content, display block, and then we want a height of probably, I don't know, I would say 50 pixel, but it probably is more. 50 pixel and width. Sorry, the other way around. So we want a width of 50 pixel and a height of half of it, so 25 pixels. This is probably too small. Again, let's give it a go. And a background of dark green, and a border radius of 50%. Okay, and a probably position absolute. And again, maybe if I avoid spelling mistakes, we can see something. So before and after, they're both gonna be overlapping each other. And the border radius, of course, it's not gonna be 50% because we want to say that the top left and top right are 0, while the bottom left and bottom right are the same of the width. So let's go for 50 pixel. 50 pixel. That is our half circle. So we want to position it now. So let's give it a 50 or 80. It's probably halfway through it. Is probably gonna be 70. And left of 20. So they are definitely bigger. It's definitely too big. So let's go up and change it a little bit. Let's give it a 40 pixel and 20 in high. See if that's probably better. So we can give it a 20. Or we can actually make it very small, and then with the border will expand. So we avoid using the box sizing property just to save a few characters. So let's do it very small. So let's go with a 10 and 5 pixel. No, that's too small. It's probably 20 and 10 pixel. See, it's probably still a bit small. Let's try with a 25 and 12. 25. So 30 and 15, maybe? That's too big now. That's as big as before. So let's go down to 20 and 10. And let's assume that let's add the border straight away so we can see it better. So we want to say that the border is only 10 pixels solid with this color. Okay. And no border bottom. So border bottom 0. Oh, sorry. Is it no border? No. Okay. So I think the size is it's fine, but we need to move it. It's probably that seems perfect. So now we just want to move the head after, which is gonna be the right side. So head after, and we want to give it a left of a bit more than that. So 40, that's probably 50. Of course, that's too less. Let's try with that 80. 100. And 100 it is. Okay, so we got our bored eyes. This elephant staring at us, a bit disappointed for the time that we're taking. Let's do the trunk of the elephant. So let's add a new B class. Let's just call it trunk. I'm mixing up a bit classes and IDs. Really, could have used a class for there, but or an ID for here, but it's fine like this. Kind of makes sense. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. This one could be elephant and head. Let's just switch it for a class head. Makes more sense in my head. Just for consistency, because we're keeping all. We are kind of like using them here, so we are specifying. We are kind of identifying classes anyway, with the ear left and ear right. So it's okay if we keep it head. Although the best way would be elephant and elephant head, and then here elephant ear, and so on and so forth. But just for the sake of saving characters, just keep it like this. So our elephant trunk, just copy to avoid mistakes, and let's go right up to the bottom, and we want to do a trunk here, and this one is gonna have a width of probably seems to be 50 pixels and a height of that height is a bit less of the screen, so I would say 100 pixel. No, it's probably more than that, isn't it? Let's give it 100 pixel and then make it bigger later. And then we want the border 50 pixel. That should give us just the top, I think. Let's give it a go. And then we want the background of dark color, dark gray. Okay. And this border radius. Okay. So you can see it's definitely short. So let's go for 150, and it's definitely too thick. 40 pixels. And we want to position it all the way to the bottom. So let's see. We give it a position absolute. And then our hair is at the position absolute, but this button is not working. It's gonna be much more than that. Okay. Try here for here. So that could have been 100 actually. This could have been okay. I think that's fine. And then let's see if we do margin auto, does it? No, it doesn't do it. So let's give it a left of 100. Too much. 65. Yeah. Okay. There's something a bit. Okay, that's probably 70 then. There, it's 70. So we got our trunk done, and the left part, the last part is the horns. So could actually use the pseudo element of the trunk. So we saved some links. So trunk before, and we want to do the usual. There, and we want to give it width of probably 100 pixel and a height of 50 pixel, and then a border radius. This time we do it the other way around, so 100 pixel, 100 pixel, 0, 0, and a border of, I think, is 15 pixel solid, and white, that's gonna be plus color, and border bottom 0. So that's definitely too big. So let's go down a bit, say 80 maybe, and let's do it a bit more thick. So probably going to a 20. The position, so we can move it on the left of minus 40 pixel. So that seems alright. Let's see. So it's a bit less tall. Oh, of course, we forgot to move it. So let's give it a top as well. Probably 10 pixel. No, okay. And the last thing we need to do is to give it a z-index of -1. Oh, that brought it to too much. -1 is wonder. Oh, I wonder if I move this one to a z-index 2 and then this one to a z-index 1. No. But in all honesty, what we could do instead of playing around with z-indexes is to swap the two. So swap the horns in here, and of course this content is still gonna be here, and this, and trunk is gonna be here. Need to reposition a few things. Renaming the trunk into horns. So we have the horns before, the trunk after, and we have position absolute. Now we want to change this top and bottom. So the top becomes, let's see, these are the horns. So we want to go down. So probably 100, 150, 120 is probably right, and left probably 20, 30, oh, a bit more down, 130. Okay, our horns are position fine, and then the horns before now has become the trunk, and the trunk is probably the actually there is a bit of top because it's actually like a -10 or something, maybe a bit more, -20, and then left probably the same left as that, 30, 20. Let's try a bit more here, 30, there. Okay, so we finished, but it's not 100%. This is probably gonna be 90 point something %, because we can see the ears are not real perfect. So we can do a first submission and see how much we scored, and then eventually do a second submission trying to fix those sources. Yeah, 99.9% is really just that little bit. So let's see what we can do. Let's go and have a look at our inside of the ear. So ear before, and let's see what we can do. I think this width doesn't convince me. Let's make it a bit thicker. And then it looks like it's really just a pixel. You just want to move it there. There we go. I think we got it. And then we want a -16 on this side. And there we go. I think that we are gonna get 100% now. There we go. Well done! Exciting. I'm sorry, I apologize again for the length of this video, but I think we did a great job. I hope you enjoyed this video and this challenge, at least as much as I enjoyed it. And if you have a better solution, don't forget to just post it with a JS video or a code pen. I'll be very happy to improve the way of doing this video. And if you have any questions or anything you want, you just put a post, comment the video, like it if you liked it, subscribe if you're interested in seeing more of these videos. And if you want me to do any specific target or you have any CSS questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment and I'll come back to you the best way I can. I'll see you to the next challenge. Bye!